Welcome to Brain Health Matters, a show dedicated to helping you improve your health, master your mind, and boost your brain. I'm your host, Kate Kunkle, and in this week's show, we'll meet LOIS HOLLIS, an RN and innovator in the medical world. She's turned her attention to a phenomenon few people have heard of, but many people suffer. Stay tuned to learn how shame guilt can impact your brain and your life.
Brain Health Matters is brought to you by the Musical Brain, Book 3 in the Healthy Brain series. Enjoy the fun and easy practices in this book to improve your memory, sharpen focus, and master your mind with the healing power of music. Available on Amazon everywhere.
Welcome to Brain Health Matters. My name's Kate Kunkle, and tonight, registered nurse and educator LOIS HOLLIS is here to shift our opinion on some of the most forbidden subjects in mental health: shame and guilt, depression, anxiety. 30 years of migraine headaches and pain were Lois's life until she learned the dangers of shame guilt. Lois now teaches us how to communicate with our emotions and our inner critics. Thank you so much for joining us, Lois. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure for me to be here. So thank you for your platform.
You're welcome. So, I've never really thought about shame and guilt that much. I mean, of course, we often feel guilty about things that we've done or said or could or couldn't have done. But the idea of shame being with that never really struck me until I met you. So I'd like you to explain the two of them together.
Thank you so much for that question, because that's what you just explained was why I was dying. Okay, I needed physical help with my bones and head traumas, and I had severe childhood abuse. So obviously that comes with broken bones and brain traumas and broken jaws and a melody. We could go on for an hour, but suffice it to say, I was quite beaten up and thrown down steps, etc. And of course, that comes with a lot of shame. So of course I had migraines. But the shame guilt was stopping me from healing. Even though I had a great healer, a chiropractor, and good nutrition, there was something missing with my emotions. I came to learn about shame guilt. And once I learned that, I healed, because shame guilt is the root of all negativity. And like you can go to, therapy for depression and therapy for anxiety and therapy for not good enough. But I would be dead before I'd heal, because I had them all.
Right. I have to go back to this because I've been very fortunate in my life. I've never suffered any kind of real trauma, thank God. But I always wonder why the victims feel shame, because you're the victim. Like, why would you feel guilt or shame?
Because you're the shame bucket.
Ah.
The shamer, the abuser, puts the shame, not their shame, the shame on you. And that makes you a victim, because it's like a black blanket thrown upon you. And you're like the trash can for the shame guilt person that throws it onto you. You're not good enough. The shame guilt comes on you. You're beaten up because you flunked your test. The shame guilt comes on you. Everybody, remember the game Hot Potato?
Sure.
Okay, that's what shame guilt energy is. Everybody throws it around because nobody wants it. And
what a cool analogy.
And so then you're stuck with victimhood because you have the shame. You are the reservoir for the narcissist or the shamer or the abuser to unload the shame that they carried onto you that caused them to abuse you.
Wow. So now you said it makes sense then that you had migraines. Please explain for our listeners how that shame and guilt then transfers, besides the physical abuse that you endured. You said that the migraines and other physical issues came about because of the shame guilt, not necessarily the physical trauma.
Right. Shame guilt is an energy. a negative energy that comes upon you. You could call it a virus. You could call it a computer virus. We have the love energy. And what does love give us? Oh, it gives us joy and happiness and confidence, intuition, compassion. We're smart. Victims aren't smart. They shame guilt takes away our intelligence. It doesn't take it away, it blocks it. So we're smart, we're intelligent, we have wisdom, we share, we love. That comes from love energy. Shame guilt energy on the other side is negative, turns our positive emotions to negative ones. It turns compassion to depression, turns intuition to anxiety, turns passion to anger.
Wow. And so all of those emotions affect us in so many ways, especially our brains. Like my specialty here is
Yeah, and this
brain
is what I
health.
want to explain to you. What happens to your computer when you get a computer virus? No,
It
don't even
bogs
talk about it,
down.
right? Yeah, and your computer having the virus, and I have the same virus in my computer, and my Microsoft isn't affected, but your Microsoft Word is affected. So it affects different computers different ways, even though it's the same virus. Okay, so now that's why shame guilt's been like the unknown crazy, because everybody's body, as you know, is electric. And we respond differently to different things. So therefore they think that, oh, it's not shame guilt because it doesn't, Marilyn doesn't react like that. I react different. George reacts different. Well, we have a different emotional body. So therefore,
Right.
any virus making it change, distorting it. So shame, why do they say shame and guilt? We have two nervous systems, one involuntary and one voluntary. I think most people know that. Shame affects the involuntary nervous system because it affects our brain unconsciously. Guilt
Okay.
affects the voluntary nervous system, which is our conscious mind. And that makes sense because we think about the guilt, but the shame guilt, like, is still there, but it's not as prevalent as guilt. Now, why do they call it different names when it's the same thing? And I think you may know this too. As a medical person, if I have a virus in my brain, they call it meningitis. If I have the same virus in my kidneys, they call it nephritis. If I have the same virus in my heart, they call it carditis. If I have the same virus in my joints, they call it arthritis.
Right.
Okay, so they have different names because of location, but it's the same virus. Do you see how that
Oh,
messes you up? Well, it messes
yeah.
me up. Oh, it's shame, it's guilt. Shame is bad, guilt is good. So you're always, instead of getting rid of it, your brain, like is trying to make sense of it
And then it bogs everything else down.
because we as humans, and this is what your specialty is, it's like we make sense of things. My brain can't stop until it makes sense. And most people do that because we're human, we're very intelligent. But you will never, ever, ever, ever make sense of shame and guilt because one's here and one's there. What? I mean, seriously, if we learn anything, we know that shame guilt is an energy. It's the same thing. I don't know what else to call it, like the monster or the crazy. I have a book, my book, and I think I have this up on one of my podcast things. It's the chart that shows that these are the emotions that are stimulated from shame guilt energy.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just take a couple minutes. Depression, sadness, procrastination, underachieving, joke telling, genocide, anger, indifference, embarrassment, arrogance, cheating, hopelessness, pity, hatred, suffering, lying, criminal
Ah,
behavior, shyness, narcissism, helplessness, phobia, moody, fear. Fear is shame guilt energy as well.
All of those from shame guilt.
So you being an intelligent person and me being a person that wants to heal, why would I go after every one of them when I can go after shame guilt energy that's fueling them?
Right.
I would be dead before I'm well.
True enough.
Well, no, it's
That's a
true.
long list. Yes.
Yeah, but that's every negative emotion comes from shame guilt energy. Now it's like every time it rains, I got to clean up the kitchen because there's water in the floor. And then the living room has some things too. And then it's fine. Then it rains again and I got to clean up the living room and then the bathroom and then the kitchen. Wouldn't it be easier to fix the hole in the roof?
Amen. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So now what brought you to this conclusion? Because yes, you endured these terrible things when you were young. What made you look at this the way you have? Like, was there something that happened to you as you got older? What triggered this realization?
I was in a group, like women's group trying to help each other because I needed help because I was suicidal. Because I had so much shame guilt energy. Someone said, "What do you do about shame, Lois?" And I went, "Oh, I never thought of that." Like everybody, shame, well, that's just like a word. I never thought of it. I have a research mind. It just doesn't stop until. Anyway, that's just whatever it is. So I go to the library. We didn't have internet then. And John Bradshaw book said, it's a sickness of the soul. And I had a near-death experience when I was a kid. So I've always been able to figure things out that weren't there. And I think that's probably why I came to the conclusion, even though someone prompted me to do it. And then all of a sudden, it was like a puzzle. Click, 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 click. So I healed. I mean, I got younger and everything. My body started healing because I had, so much. And everybody, my friends said, "Lois, what are you doing? You're like happy and you're not depressed. And, what therapies are you doing?" This was in Sedona. I said, "I'm talking to myself." And they said, "Can we do that?" And I said, "I guess." Because I was talking to the emotions inside of me, like high anger, how are you? High anxiety. So I was doing all that. And by doing that, I helped release the shame guilt that they were holding from my childhood. And so they said, "Can I talk with you?" And I said, "Of course." So they did what I was doing and they got well. I mean, and then they sent their kids and their mothers and their grandmothers. And then word got around and 2 other people came see me who had been in therapy for 3 years. And, like 2 sessions, they were fine. And so their therapist came down to see me and say, "What in the heck are you doing, lady?" I said, "I'm just getting rid of shame and guilt, that's all." Anyway, it was just way over their top because they don't
Yeah.
teach that in therapy. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's another long
Yeah.
story, but that's
So
when
this is very interesting then. So it was really by chance. And isn't that where a lot of our healing comes from? Is like these chance comments that someone might make to us or for us, and a light bulb goes on, and there we are. Oh my gosh, there's a solution.
and what I came to learn that I was so full of shame that I didn't know it. Do you know when you go in a dark room, you can't see something that's dark?
Right.
So a lot of people say, I said, "That's fine. You're not ready." But I have a lot of guilt, but I don't have shame. We're just shameful to say that, but you have to know shame, guilt, or one, it's a word. Shame, guilt is a word. There's no word as shame and guilt. It's the word. Shame, guilt is a word.
Right.
And it's the shame, guilt. It's not my shame, guilt.
That is so good, Lois. I say that to people all the time. When I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, I never once said my rheumatoid arthritis.
Good
It
for
was
you.
the rheumatoid arthritis. And I tell people, don't take ownership of those things because then you have a vested interest in them.
Well,
You dump
energetically, you're
them.
calling it to you. So now
Yours, exactly.
back to the brain. Okay, so Shameguilt energy is negative. It's distortive. One of its, in my book, I call it addictive, and people have an addiction to Shameguilt. Addictive and cumulative and distorted. So I call it a distorted negative energy. It comes into us, and like a computer virus, it alters us. Now, what are we? We're energy systems. We're ley lines. We have different lines, acupuncture lines and meridians. We are energy beings. So when an energy that's disruptive comes into us, we call it confusion, because it confuses, it distorts our nervous system. So therefore we think in a distorted way. So I tell people, if you are very confused about something, you're probably feeling some shame, guilt that's somewhere along the line, because you all have it and everybody has a degree of it. But my purpose is to make shame guilt its own study, because it's that important. And I can't believe that nobody ever did that.
So if somebody was to say, Lois, what can I do? I don't have access. Well, firstly, they could reach out to you for help. Yeah. Do you do actual counseling, or is it mostly
I
through
do
your?
group
Okay.
sessions and I do individual sessions. And I have, I don't know, 50 something, maybe 75 podcasts on my website. And this, I'm telling you what I say there. And of course, every host receives it differently. So you get 50 ways of understanding what I'm saying. And a lot of people do that first before they have session with me, but you don't have to.
Right, right. So, and the other thing is you really are a trailblazer, because you also became a filmmaker. In addition to all of these other things, you became a filmmaker. Tell us a little bit about your film.
My film now has the third episode is out next week, and the film is only 15 minutes. Episode 2 is only 14, because I know everybody's time is so limited. It's called I'mGoodFilm.com. And the reason I went to film school in somewhere in my 60s is because I began lecturing about the shame guilt energy. And then people are looking at me like, and I said, what's up? They go, Lois, we don't see what you're seeing. I don't understand what you're talking about. I said, well, don't you know this? And they go, Lois, I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand anything you're saying. And I went, oh, I got to make it visible. So I had to make shame guilt visible, so people could actually see it's an energy that comes onto you, because you're the shame bucket if you receive it. And if you don't, you go, no. Talk on the phone, someone's throwing stuff at you, go, I don't take
Excellent.
it up. I don't take it. But you have to know what shame, guilt, energy, emotions are.
So you can
Now,
recognize them
yeah,
and yeah, reject them.
how can you defeat your enemy if you don't know anything about your enemy? So
True
that's why I
enough.
call myself an educator, because
Right.
how can you resist what you don't know? And that's
Good.
not your fault. It's culture that's taught us the shame way.
Oh my goodness, it's so true. I believe that a big part of the problem on the planet is exactly that. You're
Of course,
shamed into something, you're guilty because you've done something or you haven't done something. And if any time in history seems to have magnified that, it's the last 2 years. The
definitely
guilt,
the
the
guilt.
guilt
And
tripping. I am so concerned about people's mental health right now, because this has been going on. It's like a conditioning. My goodness, your shame guilt thing couldn't come at a better time, because brain health, physical, emotional, brain health, everything is
everything. And the
uh,
brain is probably the most important part that gets distorted, because then that brings down your emotions and your physical health. So you're right on target. Now, I'm sure you might have heard of David Hawkins.
yes, of course.
Okay. Have you seen his energy evaluations of emotions?
I have not lately.
Uh,
I mean, I think I've
okay.
seen it in the past, but it's not fresh in my mind, and
I
most
can,
people might not know it.
I will send you the pyramid that
Okay.
each emotion he has given energy amount to. Like
Oh,
enlightenment is 700,000 to the 30th power.
wow.
There is such a number. And I don't
Sure.
forgot the name of it. My math brother-in-law knows it, but please believe me, there is such a number as 700,000 to the 30th power. Then we have love and joy and peace, and it goes down like 200,000, 100,000, and then we at 200, not 200,000, at 200 it starts going to anger and hatred and jealousy. Do you know what the last one is?
Shame.
No, guilt.
Ah,
And do you know what it comes in at?
what? One.
10.
Wow.
And there's nothing below that.
Right.
So guilt is the lowest vibration you can inhabit and still be alive as a human.
Wow. That's pretty scary.
It should be, because what's after guilt?
Death.
Suicide,
Ah,
right? And that's what's way on the rise. My suggestion, unless somebody can come up with a better one, if you are feeling guilty that you did this or didn't do that or whatever, try to say, I regret chipping my cousin on the floor, or I regret putting that money in the stock market and losing money. Regret leads you to solutions. I had a client who was very guilt ridden because she couldn't help her alcoholic mother heal, and her mother passed. And instead of feeling guilty, it took her a while, but she went to regret. And she said, I regret this happened, but I can help other people. And she now has a great following with helping people release the alcoholism that they have been addicted to.
what a beautiful way of turning around such a devastatingly dangerous and destructive emotion
Right.
into something that can give you hope to help somebody,
Or help
yourself even.
yourself.
Right.
Or,
Wow.
but guilt is straight down the hole. There's
Right.
nothing. It's sticky. Think of shame as sticky taffy.
Yeah.
It's sticky. It stays with you. And guilt will. So change your mindset. It's not going to heal you, but at least it leads you to a solution. It gives your mind that option. Guilt gives you nothing. Regret gives you, sad it happened. And you should feel sad if you did something deliberately.
Or even
But
even if it wasn't deliberate,
yeah,
because we
but I
feel
mean,
guilty even over things we don't do
yeah,
deliberately.
but people, it has to be modulated. Think, oh, I regret that. Okay, well, then that leads to a solution.
Right. And that's what this whole podcast is about, is solutions. I'm so happy that you brought this up, of recognizing the difference between guilt and regret and giving a solution. If somebody came to you and said, "Look, I've endured so much in my life," and you agreed between you that this shame guilt is the core of the expression, how do you begin to climb out of that? Like, what would be the first step you would tell someone coming to you?
What I say is that it's fixable. Just, and people say, I can't believe you. I don't know. They've never heard this before. I said, let me entertain you. Let me entertain you with something that's different. And they go, oh my God, that brings back my mother. That brings back my father. Oh my God, you're right. That's how, so it's truth is powerful. It's just you have to know that you've been duped since Adam and Eve. Okay.
Very
We've all
good.
been duped. Okay. But now's the time to say, hey, I'm smart and I'm not a victim. And you just take the shame gate off, because it's an energy and you can take it off, but you got to find it to take it off. And then in my newsletter, I have 500 questions, one answer. So every week you get 25 examples of how shame guilt affects you.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Lois, because we're at the end of our time. I'd like to have people work with you, get in touch with you. You just said about your newsletter. I'm assuming they can get that on your website. Please tell us how.
LOISHOLLIS.com, LOISHOLLIS.com. I have my film on there and my podcast, everything. But if you just want to see the I'm Good film, which has films of Shameguilt animations affecting you and how it affects you. So it's called I'mGoodFilm.com. Just an I and an M. There's no apostrophe. It's just I'm good because I'm good.
Sure. Sure you
I'm
are.
good.
Okay, so I will make sure that all of those links are in our show notes so that everybody can reach out and touch someone, Lois Hollis. Thank you so much for joining us, Lois. I really learned a lot today because I never really gave shame too much thought. Guilt, yes, because we all feel guilty about
Shame is
things.
in the unconscious, so you don't.
Right.
And I'm bringing out the shame. I'm like doing a surgery, taking it out. Okay, shame, guilt has only one defect.
What's that?
It dissolves in detection.
Oh.
The Wizard of Oz, remember they pull back the curtain? And what's this? He's got puff. Shame, guilt is a puff of smoke.
Perfect. What a wonderful way to end this, Lois. I cannot thank you enough for this interview and for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Brain Health Matters. Be sure to subscribe with your favorite podcast service so that you can get all the latest episodes when they're released.